Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for a deadlift day, but a quick reminder for those of you who watch these videos, please remember to click like down below. It would be greatly appreciated. A couple weeks out from a meet, I'm going to have this session, one more deadlift session to get ready, and I'm adjusting a little bit with my stance and grip. I've been studying a lot of my old stuff, my old lifts and where I was at the strongest, and even though I like the narrow, really narrow stance and everything else, seems like I was strongest consistently pulling over 600, with a slightly different one. The same thing when I pulled 625 on a deficit. Like, that really tells me a lot about where my strength was. So I want to adjust closer to that, which means socks come back on, of course. And did 525 for a triple today. Left a little bit in the tank, obviously. Didn't go all out. Just want some good heavy pulls. Did not a 5x5 because that was a heavy set. Did 4 sets of 5, with just 405 on the stiff bar. Okay, did these on the stiff bar. And that's something we're going to notice. A lot of times my first assistance lift I do after the heaviest work. They're going to be close variations, but some of it I'm looking at, can I maximize hypertrophy a little bit? In this case, we're pulling that little bit of flex out of the bottom, creating almost the equivalent of a deficit. Makes it a little harder. Also harder on the grip. It's making me train my grip more because this bar is thicker. It's thicker than the deadlift bar, so we're getting some grip training. And I decided, as much as I like rows, I'm going to pull the rows for now. On this day, let's make this a true posterior chain and deadlift day. Now, there's still back involved, obviously. All right, there's definitely back involved because we're doing, five heavy sets of pulls. All right. I'm going to just focus on my pull-ups for the rest of my back. I'm probably, make sure that a little bit of the upper gets hit too, I'm going to probably go back to adding my band work. I cut it out a week or two ago because I started doing the rows. So I'm going to start doing my band pull-up parts and stuff. Make sure the delts and everything and shoulders are good. And I want to keep it there. But I really want these volumes to go up off my classic stuff. And then again, I can do enough pull-ups and stuff that my back will be fine. I really want to maximize the hypertrophy in all the primary movers now on my big lifts, and that means the volumes need to be up just a hair. I want to be around that 14, 15 sets, which is a lot for one session. That's we're getting, to me, that's very high volume. So squatting, I'm going to take a similar approach. The benching will take a similar approach. But that's going to be a lot of posterior chain work on the deadlift day. It's going to be more chest pressing and just tons of tricep work on the bench day. Squat day, we've got some ideas of what I want to do to get a third lift in. All right? But it's going to be the same thing. Bring those total sets up a little bit. And I don't care so much about the overlap. Now some of this people say, well, is this really hitting glutes that well? This seems like a lot of low back and hamstring today. Because these are all glute exercises. The pulls from the floor are definitely glute. But I'm like, if I'm doing tons of deep squatting, that's maximized anyways. And glutes are still part of what we're doing here. But I really want to work on the hip extension components. I want to continue to overdevelop the hamstrings, erectors, glutes, all that stuff. Now, this still works quite a bit of other back. Keep that in mind. There's middle and upper back involved with both deadlifts and good mornings. These are not pure lower body lifts. And this is a lot of volume. This is 10 sets total of them. The only thing that pulls the upper body out completely is a glute ham raise, arguably the best hamstring builder ever. But here's what we did today on these. We went up 20 pounds over last time. And I still had definitely reps in the tank. But we got this up to, 245 or 5x10. What's the short-term goal I set? 315 for 5 sets of 10 on this. I've been stronger than that in the past. But again, this is going to help my squat. It's going to help my deadlift. The other thing people would say, so what's up with the different stance on the deadlift too? I do notice my hip with the really narrow sometimes gets slightly inflamed. Not so much when I do this. And the same with these good mornings, if I'm careful with my foot positions, it's real easy on my hip. I do want to watch that and make sure that hip doesn't get inflamed. That's going to let me do more volume on all these things. And if we can get more recoverable volume in up to within our thresholds, we're going to grow more. And at the end of the day, hypertrophy will raise my strength ceiling. And that's what we have to consider too. Even if I pull, heavy a certain way, that's what we need to do for maxes. A little of the volume stuff, I need to be watching those things. Same with the benching. I'm going to go with the bench that's going to put the most pec on me as far as the main bench style for the main supplemental work. But if I go max, for this because I've been practicing inside the rings, I'll go ahead and do this meet inside the rings. But as I move forward and rebuild the bench up, now that everything is feeling good, notice my triceps, by the way, in the stuff I put up the other day, the pull-ups, and the pictures I put up of that, triceps are filling back out now. All the JM presses, they're working wonders. It's coming back off muscle memory. But I need to maximize my pec and my triceps. So some of the bench work is going to be focused on doing it that way. And then I'll assess where I'm strongest on the max. Okay, so that's going to be the difference. We don't necessarily do all of our reps identical to that because it's not necessary. Or we can just work with whatever we want. At a certain point, if you get stronger, you may not even need to obsess over those leverages. Just get stronger. Same with the deadlifting. With what I'm doing with the slight changes, I was just really strong there before. Was it because that was a better position, or I just was beasting my way through it? Well, could argue both points. I know it's a little easier on my hips, though, because I'm not getting any inflammation at all. Everything feels really good today. All right, but the good mornings went good. Deadlifting went pretty good. Glute ham raises, 5 sets. My hamstrings do not have the work capacity to do these completely yet. I got my full sets on the first 3. And then it was like something like 6 or 7 reps, then like 5 or whatever on the last one. Because again, we passed that 10 set threshold by the time we got to these. Now granted, this works a different function, and that's why we can get away with it, right? Because it is different volume. Some different heads get maximized. But we are maximizing hamstrings off of this. So this is all complete posterior chain today. It's being hammered every angle. Definitely still some back work because of doing deadlifting and then the good mornings. And I'm going to specialize these days a little more like this. Right? I need to maximize the hypertrophy, and I need all the primary movers recovered by the time I do it again if I'm going to have, the one heavy set. So that's the way we're going to work it. And I've been pushing that and messing around with it that way anyways, but I'm going to go ahead and take it to that level. And I feel like I can get enough pull-ups on my off days to continue to build my middle and upper back more, and making sure I'm getting the extra grip training with it and everything else. All right, and not worry about a bunch of lat and rear delt work and stuff on my deadlift days. Let's just build the deadlift. All right, and we can just do pull-ups all the time. We can live on those. It's GPP, which has worked well for me in the past too, because I can handle them that way pretty well. But they're not primary movers. They're support muscles on everything. So as long as they're thick, they don't have to be recovered. They just need to be thick. All the primary movers on these lifts need to be recovered. But I'm pretty happy with today's session. So I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.